Hello, my name is Ken Siver, and I am the mayor of the city of Southfield since 2015 and the councilman for 14 years before that. And welcome to this EDA podcast. I grew up in Hackensack, New Jersey, and came out to Michigan after high school graduation. To a school called Michigan State Oakland at the time. By the time I enrolled, it was Oakland University. And I graduated from Oakland and then moved to Southfield. Got a teaching job here at Thompson School, then junior high, and have lived in Southfield for 57 years. And I also taught at Southfield High School and then was information director for the Southfield Public Schools. My last official position was deputy superintendent. 2001, I was elected to Southfield City Council, and in 2015, I was elected mayor. I've always been a community activist. Back in the late 60s, I started environmental issues. We didn't have a recycling program, so I started one in my apartment building on 9 Mile Road, and sort of to the chagrin of the management, they weren't into recycling newspaper, something I thought I should be doing, and then later joined the movement to recycle glass, and was on when I moved from an apartment to a house, I was immediately on the neighborhood board, strengthening the neighborhood, and we were losing elm trees, so another environmental thing was to plant replacement trees because our gracious elm trees were dying of Dutch elm disease. So I was responsible for reforesting the neighborhood. The trees that we planted back then are very mature trees today, so I continue to enjoy what we lost. And always interested in history, I joined the Historical Society. I was a charter member of the Martin Luther King Task Force in Southfield. Been very involved in local politics. The world runs on politics of one nature or another, and so that in a nutshell was my background. But since before I became mayor, I also got very involved in housing, and I can talk more about that as we go along. I am a big believer in housing that's affordable for all, but I also think in a community you want to have a diversity of housing stock, not only in type, but as well as price points. And so I've been working on that really since 2010. With a number of projects going on right now. I'm also a big believer, again, my environmental concerns in adaptive reuse. We are a throwaway society. I mean, the things are built for obsolescence, and it's not sustainable. So right now, we've had a demographic shift in Southfield. We have fewer younger people. We don't need all the classrooms that we have. We have vacant schools. So we're turning 2 of those schools, one into condos, that'll be market rate, and the other, which is a passion of mine, subsidized senior housing. So the John Gray School will be subsidized senior housing. The former McKinley School will be the condos, again, suitable for the neighborhood in which these vacant schools are located.
That's awesome.
And then even our Northland project is adaptive reuse. And there are many, many other examples that don't have time to go into today. But my other great passion is placemaking and public art. that add vibrancy to a community.
I remember as a child when all the trees were taken away.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, they did not replace those trees.
Mm-hmm.
So what was a very wholesome neighborhood look, it was destroyed when they got rid of the trees.
Yeah.
So it should make you proud, to know that you've put a fingerprint and a footprint on this city.
I actually started an effort to save the elms. There was a product put out by DuPont called Lignosan.
Okay.
And what it did was an anecdote to the Dutch elm beetle's saliva that was ended up choking off the pathways that nourished the tree, the sap. And so we did an injection program, but in the end the beetle won. But when I moved to Magnolia neighborhood, we had the cathedral ceilings over the streets, the arched tree branches, and it was lovely and very sad. And for a while in the mid '70s, a sound of summer in particular was buzzsaws, cutting down trees. Dying trees or dead trees. And so I organized a tree planting program. We planted well over 100 trees along the right-of-ways in Magnolia neighborhood. And those trees have survived and it's not quite the same as the graceful elms, but they are providing a great deal of shade.
Now I've got to ask you a question I'm sure many viewers are thinking. What did you teach in school?
I taught English, American history, and journalism.
Nice.
And when I went to Southfield High School, I was just a journalism teacher. I advised newspaper and yearbook for years. In my English classes, we did literary magazines because students become better writers when they have a real audience. To know that their peers are going to read what they write. It motivates.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I can remember as a student handing in an essay, I'd look at the teacher's marks on it, and I didn't necessarily internalize improvement. So the motivator with journalism and literary magazines is the peer pressure, so to speak, of one, you're published, and two, other people are going to read what you've written.
And if nowhere did you list that you had to do trees and aesthetics, this is a personal passion for you to pull art into the...
I believe in the power of one. I also believe that I don't expect other people to do things. And I've been blessed with a lot of energy. And my mind is always racing on what we could do next and how we could improve something or add something or make something better. So this is really what I've spent my whole adult life on.
And being a canvas, if you will, people are attracted to what things look like. And so to have a nice family-looking neighborhood just because of trees, because of art throughout the city, and now the, I'll call it the staple or shopping anchor of Southfield, which my understanding is that the Northland Mall was the very first mall in the country.
Yeah, well, I lived on, I had my second apartment, Southfield apartment, was on 9 Mile Road, next to Channel 2, and I would walk to Northland. Actually, when I was at Oakland University, because Northland at the time was a regional shopping center, I had a job, a campus job. I was a chauffeur.
Oh, wow.
And I took, they did, on the weekends, they did shopping expeditions for students that were out of state, on campus, and I drove students to Northland. in a university station wagon. It was, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea. It was not a limousine, but yeah, that's how my introduction to Northland.
And there was the birth of Uber.
Yeah. But something that where the DDA is focused on the southeast corner of Michigan, and I was attracted to living on 9 Mile because you had Northland right there, you had the Southfield Freeway, you had the Lodge, you had restaurants at Northland. I was in a brand new apartment building, and at the time we had high rises going up and the hotels. So it was a very attractive area, and it was a great place to live. And if I wanted to go someplace, I could just hop on major mile roads. So I was very, very happy living in what was then not the DDA, but time moves on, and you have to renew. And so a number of years ago, we created the Downtown Development Authority to work on renewing this corner of Southfield. I mean, it did have a heyday, and we are working to bring that heyday back. And we're doing it through numerous avenues, including connecting with local businesses here, with our whole 9 Mile corridor plan, which is about revitalizing Northland, making it a continuous pathway from I-75 to 275, and we're layering on placemaking, which includes landscaping, it includes wayfinding signage, it includes the walkable and bikeable pathways, it includes public art. Art makes a city more vibrant. It's also an economic driver. It attracts people, and we're working to attract new businesses and residents to all over the city, but in particular in the focus of the DDA is in this corner of Southfield. With the redevelopment of Northland, with the opening of Costco, with the opening of a major grocery store at Northland, with a number of neighborhood businesses there, plus 1,500 apartments. We will have a city within a city. It'll create growth and create synergy here. I really believe that we have a very bright future for this area, and I can't wait to see it come to fruition. But it's going to take years. This is we're talking the investment of millions and millions and millions of dollars, but it is happening, and we are well on our way to making that happen.
You have to be a visionary with patience to have that thought that this can be a more attractive and livable space. And it takes time for the trees to grow. It takes time for construction to happen. It takes time to really impress upon corporations to just take a look here. Now, what I'm finding that in Detroit, many years ago it was a residential rush to get to Southfield. Well, now commercial real estate and everything that's going on in Detroit is becoming quite expensive for the independent business person. As mayor of this wonderful city, what would you say as mayor to the independent business person that's really looking to come out and do something?
Well, there's a number of things the mayor doesn't control. I have people complaining to me about rents. I can't do much about it. When you lease a space, it's a contract between you and the owner of the space. that is not something the mayor can control, nor can a local community, by Michigan law, pass rent control. That is a state function. So what I can do, though, by adding more housing, and making sure you have a diversity of housing, you can mitigate some of this, because one of the reasons rents have spiked is because there's a housing shortage. When it's a basic supply and demand. When you have more of a supply, more competition, prices tend to be more competitive. Right now, it's highly competitive because in the other direction, because there is not a lot of new housing being built, considering the size of the metro area and the population that it supports. So that's one thing. We're working with small businesses all the time, not in the DDA, but with a Lawrence Technological University, a great partner of ours. We have a wonderful town-gown relationship. We have a business incubator. We have a business accelerator. And we've had huge success with this. The city supports it. Lawrence Tech supports it. It's on the campus of Lawrence Tech. It's in the Smart Zone, and it also has a business accelerator. And out of this has come a whole number of startups, patents, job creation. The accelerator takes a very small business and helps it grow, imagines its growth. And so it's a supportive mechanism that's also supported by the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. Has put hundreds of thousands of dollars into this as job creation and business attraction and retention to the metro area. And again, these things are not just for Southfield, they're here. And one of the things that I'm pleased with is there's a lot of talent that comes out of Lawrence Tech. I want to keep that talent here. And so by working in the business accelerator or the incubator, it's two side-by-side programs, you can hopefully keep from having a brain drain from Michigan. We've had a lot of that. The glamorous places are Texas and California and Chicago, DC, and so on, New York. But we're working on keeping people here, and we're doing the things that we can do in local government.
It's, as a small business person or micro business person, I get more bang for the buck here in Southfield. You have accessibility. I mean, it's so easy for me to tell people where we are. And when I look at the cost per square foot, I mean, just the average prices are much more attractive than they are in the city, right?
Yeah, well, things go in shifts and cycles. So we're in a cycle now where we need more housing, and we have a glut of commercial space, office space, and retail space. And so I think we've overbuilt, especially retail spaces. And so rents, here again, it's the competitive. I know where we're sitting today. This is a high, you've got a great landlord here who is found a niche, and he's got a price point that attracts people. And that's the reason his buildings are like 95% filled. Government can't do it all. There are so many competitive, competing needs. So we are open to public-private partnerships, and we're looking very closely at those with nonprofits as well as for-profit businesses. particularly in the realm of our Parks and Recreation Department, where facilities have become terribly, terribly expensive to build and to maintain. So I don't have a specific, but I can tell you we are working on a number of these.
Nice. Some of the neighboring suburban cities, they have emphasis on making it friendly for the residents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Southfield tends to have an even better edge on it because with all the office space, with all the density of business, it really makes it a thriving city. I mean, more about the business partnership with the residents and the interaction of the two.
We had a couple of years ago, we had a major company move downtown.
Okay.
And the media called me and said, how do you feel about this? And I said, I understand the lure of downtown, and I will also say I'm very pleased that downtown Detroit has had a renaissance.
Yes.
But I also tell people we're not in competition with downtown Detroit. Southfield offers something different.
Yes.
And that difference is that when you look at where the workforce lives, Southfield is in the center of southeastern Michigan. There is an arc. If this is the city of Detroit, there's an arc around it where lots of people live. And we're positioned with our freeway network, and we tend not to have gridlock unless there's road construction, which there's plenty of. But we're positioned where you can get to the airport, downtown, Dearborn, Birmingham, Royal Oak, any place you want to go, really within 15-20 minutes. That's the reason why, for instance, Southfield has tons of law offices. We're between the Oakland County Courthouse and the Wayne County Courthouse. That's just one example. But back to competing with Detroit, we're not. We offer something different. So again, where people are coming from, it's easy to get here. Secondly, we have plenty of free parking. We have a great fiber optic network. We don't have an income tax that people that work in Detroit have to pay. And we have great city services. So if you have an emergency, medical emergency, or fire, or need to call the police, they will be there within minutes with equipment that works with well-trained first responders. We have a phenomenal library here that has a huge business section that was deliberately cultivated. So there are a lot of advantages to being here. We're not Detroit, and we're happy for Detroit because I believe that if Detroit's successful, we will be successful too. We're in this together. I don't want any other job but this one, as this is what I have a passion for. I've lived my whole adult life here. I've lived here since I was 21, and I'm not going anywhere. And I, have a great ethos of community service and giving back. Southfield personally has been very good to me. My employment here has provided many opportunities for me to grow as a person and as a professional. I've got great neighbors. I love my community, and I have a whole network of people that I work with. I work at this every day, and to me, it's a great calling.
If you could say one quick invitation to businesses and residents alike? I mean, to bring people to Southfield, what would that be?
Well, I always say this is a great place to be. It's a great city. No place is nirvana, but Southfield is a great place you can raise a family here, you can be a young professional here, you can have a range of lifestyles here. We have houses in the woods, we have high-rise, we have condos, we have modest homes, we have McMansions. We offer everything.